All right, what's up, programmers? This is tutorial number 6 with building a web interface for the TR1. Things are moving slowly. It's much more work to build out than I thought. I've already built it. It's just going through the tutorial. I'm slow. I'm going to dive right into it though today, not hit you with all of the all of the information up front. So, where we are currently, we are looking around here. Let's see. We're getting some. I was using the wrong keys. Okay. Woo! Starting off good. Okay, so where we're at, we're able to look around our simulated environment. Everything's gray. We can't see anything. That's all right. We're still building out all of our little modules. The module we're building out today is how to drive. So we're going to try to set up the arrow keys. Right now, WASD is how you look around. The arrow keys is how you drive forward and backwards. It's going to be difficult to tell that we're able to drive around, but we can print out the actual coordinate position and check that we're driving properly that way. So let's dive right into it. Let's figure out how to do this. I already did this tutorial. I tried to do a live stream this weekend. Sorry if you guys saw that. Man, the frame rate was like, it was like 1 frame every minute. It was crazy. We were testing things out, so we're just going to redo this video. All right, so if we want to build how to drive in the simulated environment, we're going to add a function. We're going to add a couple functions to our robot object. We're going to add this.drive, right? So we've got this.look, as we can see right here. We've already got that going. So we're going to add this.drive. And then down here we've got handle controls, right? That's some leftover code. We've got handle controls, so which includes handle controls look. So we're going to add handle controls drive. And it's going to be the same kind of thing. We're going to check, make sure that our key is pressed down, and go from there. This is easy. This is easy. Nothing too crazy today. All right, so let's do our this.drive function. I'm going to add that up here, this.drive. So all we're doing here is we're just capturing the state of the robot, which direction it's supposed to be going, and we're just passing that down to our server using an Ajax command. That's all we're doing here. We're doing one other fancy thing, is we're checking to make sure that the current direction command is not the same as the previous direction command, because if we've already sent out that command to the server, it's already processing. We don't need to bog the server down with just, machine gun fire of, sending commands to it, drive. So this way we can just send, it's like drive forward, stop, drive backwards, turn left. It's just one command, right? Just saves us some data. Okay, so our drive function. Our drive function is going to have 3 arguments. 4. And yeah, so all we're going to do is we're going to pass that to our state object, and we're going to see, probably the faster way to do this would just be X, Y, Y, W, W. Look at that. We're making improvements to my code already. So we're going to add direction to our state object. X, 0, Y, 0, W, 0. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so that's all we need there. Now we're going to go down here, and just for the sake of simplicity, just to make our code a little cleaner, we're going to do dir equals this.state.direction. And then we're also going to do a pdir object, which is actually stands for previous direction. And we're going to keep track of previous direction. If you remember, we did this with our look function. Previous direction. And it's going to be the exact same thing. This is just an object to keep track of what was the last command we sent and make sure that we don't send it again. A really simple way here to check is just do dir.x equals pdir.x and dir.y equals pdir.y and dir.w equals pdir.w. Return. We're going to return if that's true, because we don't want to send the same command if we've already sent that command, if that was the last command we sent. Let me explain for a second the x, y, and w. The x and y is a vector. I don't know if you guys worked with vectors much, but they come up a lot in robotics, especially once you, anytime you're trying to compute things. A vector is it's like a position with magnitude, basically. So, we got my dog in here. We'll see how this goes. So you've got a graph, right? Y in this direction, X in this direction, okay? So then we're going to, if it's 1 in the Y direction and 0 in the X direction, then we know it's just forward. -1, it's backwards. If it's 1 in the X direction, 0 in the Y, then it's this way. And then we can do angles, right? If we want to move at an angle this way, we can do, 45 degrees would be 1 in the Y direction, 1 in the X direction. So it's just going to angle off that way, right? It's just like position and magnitude, basically. So we can use that. It's really useful for describing which direction we want to drive. And then we've just got this W coefficient, which is just like the magnitude of rotation and also the direction of rotation. So a negative W is going to be rotating this way. A positive W is going to be rotating to the right. And again, just an easy way to do that. Okay, so now that we've checked, make sure that we're not continuing if we've already sent this command out. Then we're going to go ahead and say this state.previous direction. We're going to go ahead and set that equals dir.x, y, dir.y, w, dir.w. Beautiful. And now all we need to do here is our Ajax command. Okay, so our URL. This is going to be, since if you remember, we set up in the server, we set up a command route, and we've done all this fancy footwork to try to get it easy to add different commands. So all we're doing is just we're sending the direction state over Ajax to this URL. It's going to be type post content type application JSON. So our data, we're going to need to stringify it, is just going to be this.state.direction. Data type is JSON, and then our success function here. So we've set this up. I originally set this up so that basically every time that you send a command, it returns the state of the robot so that you can use that data for different things. I have learned to use WebSockets. We'll get to this later on down in the tutorial for how to use WebSockets to constantly maintain state on the front end. And that was a much better way to do it. So the success, basically the response is going to return joint state. We're not going to do much with that right now, but since it's there, we'll just go ahead and do data.joints. So there's that. We'll probably end up refactoring that later, but so be it. So all we've got now is this .drive. And in fact, we should test it to see that it works. So let's go to our step. We'll do this drive, and we'll do 1 in the x direction, or 0 in the x direction, 1 in the y direction, 0 in the rotation, for the rotation magnitude. And we're going to do that. And what we'll see, actually, when we reload this, we will see one post command, and we should see one post command of drive. And it should just be one post command. And in fact, we're going to go ahead and go over here as well. Do ROS topic echo gazebo model states? Yeah. And we're going to echo the model states so that we can actually see the position of the robot. So if this works right, we will be driving forward. We'll go ahead and do that. And you can see this is the position of the robot. We're at pretty much exactly the origin. So we should see those move once I reload. Okay, reloading. Something went wrong. Console. Cannot read property X of undefined. Let's first look at the line 16. Interesting. Line 16. Okay. State. I wonder if our names are right. Previous direction. So it's saying this. Oh, right. Okay, so I have a typo here. Okay, that should be it. Great. So here we can see command drive. We can see the arm moving, right? I'm not moving the arm right now. It's just because it's driving forward, and that's the way the simulated environment works. We can see some movement here. Let's see, it's acting a little strange. We're not seeing the position go anywhere. Oh yeah, I was looking at the orientation. Yeah, there's the position. I was looking at the orientation. So we can see the position is moving. So that was easy, right? That was a piece of cake. We just added one simple function to, I mean, it was just that. We're just using Ajax to pass the direction command. Fantastic. So now all we need to do is just set up the actual controls. So how do we update the direction state based on key commands? So that's what we'll work on right now. So we'll update this. We'll do it the same way that direction.y, this.state.direction.w. So we're going to do it the same way that look works. I'll go ahead and save that. And as we reload, we should, yeah. Can I read property X of undefined? So I guess, yeah, I can't spell direction today. There we go. And we can see that we are not getting a drive command sent to our server, which is exactly the way we want. Because the reason it's not is because our default state is 0, 0, 0, and it gets to here and it says our current direction is same as the previous direction, so it's not going to send anything to the server. Exactly what we want, right? If it's just sitting here, no need to send data to the server. Okay, so now all we need to add is handle controls. This dot handle controls drive, and then we'll add that function down here. Okay, so we're going to need, so let's talk about how we're going to handle the controls for a second. The way that we're going to do this is obviously you press the up arrow, you go forward, the back arrow, you drive backwards, the left arrow, you drive to the left, the right arrow, you drive to the right. Now, since it's omnidirectional, if this was a car, for instance, we could do the left arrow is like turn left, and the right arrow is turn right. But it's omnidirectional, so we can drive to the left, like strafe left and right. But there's also a rotational element. So how do we manage all of this in some sort of intuitive way? My attempt is up arrows forward, back arrows left. Left arrow by itself is strafe left. Right arrow by itself is strafe right. But if you want to rotate, you hold down the shift key and press the left and right arrow, right? That seems to make sense to me. So like the left arrow and right arrow, it's going to be just strafing unless you hold down shift, and then it'll be rotation. So that's my stab at it. So let's program that out. We're also going to have two keys that we can press to modify the speed. Since we don't get an analog output from a key press, it's just a Boolean true or false, we need some way to control speed, because you're not always going to want to drive max speed. So the way we're going to do that is if you press Z, it's going to be 75%, and if you press and hold Z and X, it's going to be 50% speed. So hopefully this will make a little bit more sense once we go ahead and program it. So we're going to have to know what the key codes are. Z equals 90, X equals 88, and then we're going to do key space bar, which I believe is 32. I'm going to have to check. Yes, it is. Man, I'm smart. Okay. Var direction. So we're going to need our direction object, this.state.direction. And in fact, no. This is we had this problem last time we did the look. We're just going to update the state directly. So if keys shift, so if the shift key is pressed, we're going to do some stuff. This.state.direction dot x equals 0. This.state direction.w equals 1. So I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. So no, left arrow. Okay, so basically what we're checking here is we're going through, and we're gonna set the state for the X and the W first, and we're gonna have some if command or some if statements, and if shift key is pressed and if the left arrow, then we're gonna set the state to this, and then if it's, then we'll say if it's if shift key isn't pressed, but the left arrow still is, then we're gonna do this other thing over here, and we're just basically, depending on if the shift key is pressed or not, we're either going to set the W or we're going to set the X. That's all we're doing. All right, righteous. Okay, else if keys right arrow. Oops. And then here we'll do negative W. And if you press the shift key and neither one of the arrows, we're just going to set this to 0, 0. And it's going to be the same story, except with X if shift isn't pressed. So that's it. That's all we need for left and right. Now for Y, it's much easier. So if keys, I believe it's up arrow. We'll do this.state.direction.y equals 1. Right. Whoops. -1, and if nothing's pressed, we'll just set the state to 0. Okay. This, I believe, should work. We've got just two more things here. So let's check and see if we're have the Z or the X keys pressed So if the Z key is pressed, but the X key isn't, then what we're going to do is we're going to multiply these times 0.75. Oops. And then else if key Z, so if both keys are pressed, oops, come on. Okay, if both keys are pressed, then we're going to move the speed down to 50%. Okay, and then finally we're going to have a stop. So if keys spacebar is pressed, then we're just going to set everything to 0. So that'll be our stop button. Yeah. Okay. I think that should be good. We are going to go ahead and test this out now. We've got our file saved. We don't need to restart anything other than the browser. Don't know if it froze up on us. Let's try that. Okay, so let's try this out. We've got our position. Dang, we're all the way up to the edge. So I'm going to press the back key. So I can see I'm pressing and holding the back key right now. And you can see the Y position is changing. 45 down to 44. I'm guessing this is in meters. Okay, I'm going to press and hold the space bar. You can see it's mostly stopped. It's moving. I guess it's just kind of drifting a little bit right now. I'm going to press and hold the X key, and we can see the X value now moving up for the position. I'm going to hold the space bar for stop, and I'm going to press the up and the right arrow, and that should move diagonal. So both the X and the Y should move up based on this. See. You know, I was getting this thing last time. I'm going to have to do some digging. But basically the front end here, left arrow or right arrow and up arrow, we can see both of them are moving. And then rotation. Here we go. And we can see that we're driving forward and rotating at the same time. So everything's working properly. I did notice one thing last time is it will get to a point where like right now, I don't think we're actually, see here, I'm pressing the keys and you can see the back end isn't getting anything. So there's some sort of Stack Overflow or something. I wonder if, I think I've got a console.log. We'll try removing that and see if that fixes it. But we've got some sort of memory error with this front end. So let's just try moving around and see if that fixed it. If not, I will fix it in the next one. So let's do ROS topic echo. Oh, it's not going to have command. What? Let's see. I want to. Yeah, there's probably not going to be a great way to see this. Basically, I was just wondering if we could echo the position. Yeah, we can see as I'm pressing, I'm still not getting anything. So there's some sort of memory leak or something that's going on here. it might have to. One thing I've changed from my version to the original version is that the state.direction is. I used to return this. Like here, I can show you the original code. I used to return. Let me move it over here. Return the direction, and then in this, we would set the state up here. I don't know if that would be it. I mean, it's possible that. Yeah, I'm not sure why that would cause problems. But I'll dive into that. I mean, you can see it worked. We've got some sort of front end leak or something that's given us problems. But yeah, that is where we're going to leave it for now. I'll take a look at this problem. It'll be something tiny and small, and we will pick back up with tutorial number 7 next time. Thanks for sticking around. We are making progress, and as soon as we get this front end built out, then we can finally go into and load it on the real robot and drive around our office and do some cool stuff. I've got some ideas for probably wanting to update the security of this thing and add some authentication, make sure each of the requests are valid and properly authenticated and authorized, and then hopefully we can set this up so that like just random strangers on the internet can come onto our website and control our robot through there. So some cool stuff. Thanks for watching. You will see me in the next tutorial, and you guys have a good one.